Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon for our webinar on product development and packaging. This is being presented to you on behalf of Australia's Southwest Tourism as part of your membership, but also through the federal government Australian Small Business Advisory Service Program. So I'm joined here today by Malcolm Farrell-Mitchell, who is the Strategic Marketing and Business Development Manager for Australia's Southwest, who no doubt you know. He's just going to pop on and say a few words and then we'll start to get into it. So go ahead, Malcolm.
Hello, everybody. Yes, Malcolm here from Australia's Southwest. I hope that you're all well. I just wanted to say a huge thanks to Kristy for delivering these seminars. They're really beneficial to our members to learn more about the things that we think are valuable, and also are a great precursor to some workshops we'll be running later in the year through our federal funding on developing your businesses to prepare for when interstate visitors and also international visitors are able to return to the Southwest. So we're really delighted to be working with Kristy. And if you've got any questions for me or for anyone else at Australia Southwest, I'll pop my email in the chat and you're welcome to reach out. But yeah, thanks to Kristy and enjoy the seminar and talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Malcolm. All right, so my name is Kristy. For those of you that have joined our previous webinars, we will have already met, but thanks for joining us today. The webinar today is designed to be interactive, so please use the Q&A functionality, but also, or alternatively, the chat functionality to ask questions at any time. Keep in mind, I'll also stay on at the end for a few minutes if you have any questions. My background is marketing, and specifically within the tourism industry. So what we're going to be talking about today is sort of strategies and product development and also packaging and bundling that I've personally been involved in throughout my career, but also hopefully we can relate it to your business. So like I said, stop for questions at any time. Okay, so in terms of what we're going to go through today, well, we're going to look at how you can develop exciting new tourism products, how you can initiate partnerships and then package potentially new or existing products, with other suppliers to generate more consumer demand. So that's the key focus. So we'll talk about the benefits of packaging as well as product development. So first of all, looking at what is a product. So in tourism, a product is the combination of goods and services that make up a visitor experience. So this could be your facilities and obviously the standard of your facilities. It could be the equipment that you have, the level of service you provide, the quality of your delivery and that interpretation materials that are available to consumers. So you need to keep in mind that an individual product will only make up part of that total travel experience for a consumer. The complete travel experience includes all the elements that a tourist consumes realistically from the time they leave home until the time that they return back to their home. So it can include transport, it can include accommodation, meals, attractions, various activities, even the facilities within a town or a region. So these individual products or individual components could be purchased independently by the consumer, or they could be bundled into a package for sale by a travel agent or a wholesaler. So it's really important to understand the impact of your individual product on that whole experience and how what you provide can really make or break the perception of an entire region or a destination. So think about when you're traveling, how you assess or judge essentially a destination. So normally we say, everyone's really friendly in Margaret River, or the food is really good in Albany. So we're making an assumption on an entire destination by a series of experiences that we have with different products. And that's really a combination of many, many different operators' efforts, many different products and services that impact this overall perception that we have. So it's absolutely crucial that your products are always evolving and always meeting the needs of your customers and the customers that are visiting your area or a particular region, essentially. So before we talk about product development or even packaging and bundling products, it's really crucial that you understand target markets because the development of your products or packages has to be done with your target market in mind. So it has to lead your decision. You can't expect a customer to change their needs or their wants or even their expectations to suit your product or your package for that matter. You have to create products and packages that are based on that in-depth understanding that you have of your consumers' needs, and then you cater to those needs. And that's a key reason why products should continually evolve. So think about how long you've been in business, how long you've been offering these amazing services to the general public and to visitors. Have you assessed your target market and evolved your products as new technologies have evolved and as new consumer expectations have changed? So when you are looking at your product range and your target market, you have to stand out from your competitors. So product development is a really good way to achieve both meeting the changing needs of your customers, but also standing out from your competition. Customer or your consumer, your target markets can be segmented or divided along a number of different dimensions. So the most common is demographics, because that's the easiest. Other methods can be geographic location, and in tourism, we do tend to talk a lot about both demographics and geographic. But you also have to include psychographic, perhaps generations, benefits and usage, and that general consumer behavior, values of particular consumer groups as well. So without a clear image of your target market, a small company, particularly a tourism business, will try to reach almost everyone or develop products that suit anyone and everyone. And what happens is that you end up appealing to almost no one. So you should really be able to know each product may have its own target market, but you have to know enough about that target market to be able to describe the person, even visualize them. So geographically, target markets can differ a lot. Domestic travellers account for the majority of business for small tourism operators, or for tourism operators. Obviously, at the moment, they account for 100% of our business because international borders are closed. But given that domestic is our predominant market, even when international borders reopen, we have to consider that they are such a significant market. They're easy to reach. It's really wise to first focus your products at that level. And then in terms of packaging, which we'll get into as well, look at packaging at that level. After you achieve results on a domestic level, you can consider whether your product has potential to appeal to an international market. And then you can be sure to contact the appropriate distributors, who then will understand international markets, do some more research through them. You may need to create a new product to suit an international market, or you may not. You might just be able to adapt your existing products. So keep in mind that it is very common, particularly in tourism, to have different products that appeal to different markets, and to develop different products specifically to appeal. So as a strategic decision for your business. Now, while we talk about the strategy behind product development, we'll have a look at this matrix that you see. It's called an ANSOF matrix, and it's a tool used for strategic planning. Now, this is where you determine a framework to develop your strategy for product growth or expansion. So think about, why are you considering developing a new product? Well, whether you're a new or existing tourism operator, there might come a time where you'd like to expand or grow your tourism product offering. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The most common way is to go through, obviously, strategic planning. So we'll have a look at this matrix in a little bit more depth. First of all, if you've got a current product and a current market, your growth strategy would be market penetration. That is basically to look at targeting more segments. So to take business off your competitors, essentially. Now, the one underneath that, which is labeled number 3, is if you've got a new market and a current product. So that's a market development strategy. So you're expanding your distribution, you're entering new segments and targeting new markets. Now, those two on the left-hand side are obviously growth strategies. But as we move to the right side of this ANSOF matrix, the growth strategies focus on product development. So that's why we'll talk about them together and not in numerical order. But strategies 2 and 4, number 2 is where you have a new product in a current market. So you're developing a product that will appeal to your existing market. So new features, new product, basically. Now, the next one down is going to be a new product and a new market. So that's diversification. So you might have a completely new market that you're trying to enter into, let's say an international market, and you've identified that you need to develop a new product to appeal to that market. So as you're going through and starting to consider product development, have a think about what your objective is for developing that new product, and clearly understand what it is that you're doing, and it will really help you just set the scene of that framework. Now, looking at product development itself, tourism product development means bringing new and innovative products, experiences and services to the market for tourists to buy, essentially. And it can take many forms. So you might have identified a gap in the current marketplace and you decide to develop a product or experience to meet that demand. Product development for you could mean developing a product or experience that is already being offered in the area but it's new to your business or new to you. Or if you're already a tourism operator, you might just be looking to expand your existing tourism offerings to include additional services, experiences, or tangible products such as souvenirs, for example, if you are an operator. So product development, as I said, can take many forms. Once you start looking at product development, there's quite a few different stages within the process, but they all begin with identifying that need in the marketplace. And you have to do that by really understanding your target market. Once you've identified the need for a particular product, you want to come up with the concept or the idea, and then you'll create a plan for how you're going to bring that idea to life. So developing products that are tailored to visitors' needs and really understanding those needs is the first point will really improve the profitability and the viability of your tourism business, but of that specific product. You don't want to go to all the effort of developing a new product and the time and cost that's associated with that if you don't know that there's actually a consumer group out there that actively wants to purchase that product. Making more products available to tourists will increase the length of time that they stay in the region. So that's a huge help from a destinational perspective. It increases the amount of money that they spend with you and with other operators, and it really encourages new and repeat visitors as well. So keep that in mind, that whilst you might be an individual operator, part of your product development can really benefit the region. There's a lot of competition amongst tourism destinations, and that has continually and continues to increase substantially. It's intensified by changes in tourism demand. There can be major markets of saturation. There's the emergence of new information and communication technologies. That also means that there's a lot more noise out there from a tourism perspective. Now, there's a wide range of studies that have been undertaken that have really emphasised the way, or the only way for tourism destinations to maintain their ability to compete internationally, especially as mature tourist destinations go, is through innovation. So we really, even at that operator level, have to always continue to be innovative for the purpose of our destination and our region. You have to acknowledge that there is a need to innovate. And that innovation happens through new tourism product development, essentially. Okay, so when you're looking at product development, there are a number of things to consider. Some are internal factors within your business, and then some are external. So first of all, it starts with resources, and that's mostly around your own resources. So do you have the human resources to undertake the project or set up the product? The materials or equipment? Is there any capital required? So thinking about those sort of elements. Thinking about tourism facilities. Then now this could be yours or it could be others. Now it could be accommodation, yours, and what needs to happen there, or nearby, so that people can access this new product that you're developing. Transport, is transport required to get to you? Do you have vehicles or vessels required for yourself? Is there food and facilities nearby or accessible to visitors if they are experiencing this new product that you've got? There could be shopping facilities that might be needed if that's what the market needs. There could be museums or other attractions to get people to you to experience your product, but obviously to increase the demand for the region as well. People might not travel a certain distance or go to remote just for one product. So you have to think of what other facilities are in the vicinity that's going to get people and get people to experience your product. Then you've got to look at tourism services. So yours, and to a certain extent other services, but around yours, think about the guiding and the knowledge of guides, historically, culturally, and the up-to-date information that they need. Is there parking services if they need, or other visitor services? Is there interpretive materials or signage that is either required for yourself or is already available? And then from there, thinking about the consideration of the experience, the overall experience that this encourages. So this is the experience that you create, but that others help to create as well. So thinking about the social responsibility around that and the perception of your product. For example, is it perceived to be culturally sensitive, sustainable? Is there an agri-tourism focus? Is there anything that may cause concern around particular markets or specific interest around markets? Think about the overall sort of memories that are made and that sense that people get after experiencing your product or service, perhaps the education they receive, the relaxation level that they hit. So keep that in mind. Now, the development of new tourism products, you really have to factor in these components. So your resources, the facilities, the services, and that overall experience that people are going to get. Once you've determined that you do have the resources, you've got the concept, and you can think about the logistics behind the development of the product, you need to think about the experience and how it's going to be positioned. Now, when we talk about product positioning, that refers to where a product or a service stands in the minds of visitors, or it could be how they're able to distinguish your products and services from your competitors. So a lot of your product positioning happens well before the customer gets to your actual business. You've got to look at the online perspective and that research phase. So a strategy for promoting and marketing your products to your specific target audiences is looking at this positioning. So obviously with all tourism products, it's very important to have an online presence. Nearly all of your potential visitors will do their travel research online through computers, smartphones, or tablets. Now, they'll check out potential tourism destinations. They'll check out individual products and services well before they arrive at the destination. So if they can't locate your business or this new product through a search engine like Google, you might lose out on the business and they may never make it to you. So in terms of a positioning, from a positioning perspective, once you're ready to develop that product, you'll have to consider how your product is going to appear online and how does it compare to what else consumers can find online. Product differentiation is then standing out from your competitors, and it'll be really important that you do stand out during this, the visitor's path to purchasing your product. So the path to purchase model is what you see at the bottom of the screen. Now that describes the steps that visitors will take prior to and after their trip. So you can see this here. It starts with the dreaming. Now that's the research phase and the planning, where they decide on a destination and all that planning that goes into a trip. Then you've got the booking, which is the actual transactions, making sure, again, from a positioning perspective, this new product or service, can it actually be booked prior to the visitor arriving in your destination? Then you've got the act of all the anticipation, and people will then go on to online review sites and those kind of things while they're anticipating a product or service. So again, making sure you're visible. Then they're on their way to you, obviously the act of being on holiday or at the destination. And then there's that sharing of the experiences afterwards, that post-holiday sharing. So making sure, again, that you can engage with people on that level, so that helps when people new customers come into that dreaming and planning and then in the booking phase, your information is there and people have obviously been sharing their experiences with you. So it's really helpful as a tourism operator to really carefully understand this process and that process that visitors go through to arrive at your destination, because it'll help you make informed decision around developing your product, but then also positioning your product in the minds of visitors at each stage. So that means when a visitor is looking for new and exciting experiences to have in your destination, they'll consider a lot of different options before they actually finalize their decision. It'll be really important for your business and your new tourism product to stand out from your competitors. So keep in mind product positioning. Now, in terms of product positioning considerations, some of the things that you can consider, to help your or help position your product in your business. So obviously your price. Do you have a higher price or deluxe tours or a product or a lower price of economy offer? Your product quality. Do you offer outstanding customer service, high level? Your service, do you provide pickups, drop-offs, include meals, that kind of thing? Diversity of your products on offer is really important. So looking at if you offer a choice or a range of different tours, obviously your staff, how trained and experienced your staff are, those product features, if you've got specific people like language translators or, depending on the market that you're aiming for, and then that flexibility around the product. Now, all products should be reviewed to ensure their market alignment prior to even releasing rates or any product information into the next season. So the dot points that I've got on the screen are sort of the minimum that you would consider. So first of all, looking at market suitability. Does the product suit the markets that you're targeting? Look at the characteristics of the products, choices of the consumer from this market, and make sure that there's a match. Now, the development of your product should be guided by the type of experience your market seeks, obviously. Product tailoring. Do you need to make product changes or enhancements to suit a certain market? Sorry, a bit of a mouthful. Because your consumer taste will vary per market. So are you making changes to tailor products that will have positive impacts for different markets? Do you have a point of difference from your competitors? So review your unique selling points. Look at your product feedback. Like I mentioned, what feedback have you received on your product? Have you tested it in the market before you go to release rates and that kind of thing? Maybe get a focus group and get people to, like-minded tourism operators to test it and give you feedback. But then obviously continually monitor feedback on review sites like TripAdvisor, your Google reviews and those kind of things. And obviously obtain feedback from them directly if they're liking it, what changes might they like to see. Now, pricing I mentioned, but product pricing is really important to make sure that you're competitively priced and make sure that you allow for all levels of commission as well, and so that the product will still remain profitable no matter what level of commission you're paying. So location is also really important, which I mentioned in terms of the product development phase, but also positioning, looking at attractions and facilities nearby that really enhance the appeal of your product. Also in your communications, are you promoting the destination as well as your products? Because that's really important. It's not enough to just have a standalone product. We really need to be focused on the entire destination. Then the accessibility, is your product accessible enough? Could there be better transport links? Thinking about that side of things. Your seasonality, are you open to coincide with peak arrivals from your target markets? For example, obviously opposite seasons in terms of the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. So are you targeting a product that's suited to visitors from the Northern Hemisphere at a time of year that they won't travel, for example? So you really have to align that seasonality. Also your hours of operation, are they regulated and are they consistent? That's a really key thing to make sure that if you're advertising online that you're open for a certain period of time, that obviously you are. And again, in line with meeting the needs of your target market. Your time, how do you fit into that international itinerary if it's an international market, or knowing your target market and knowing what their behaviours are from a travel perspective to make sure that you are in line with what they like there. You could even consider providing suggested itineraries to demonstrate how they can make your product or service a part of their itinerary. Also, information availability. When you're positioning your product, it's so important that you have information for both visitors direct to your website or to your channels, but also through your distribution partners, if you're working with wholesalers and ITOs, that they have enough information. Also reservations, making sure that it's easy for customers to book your product or trade. So all of those points that you've got on your screen there are hugely relevant from a positioning perspective and will really sort of set you apart from your competitors. So once you've developed your product and you're ready to market them to your target audience, you might want to consider strategic partnerships to really help expand your reach. Or you might even wish to consider strategic partnerships and product packaging for existing products. Even if you're not looking at developing new products, those strategic partnerships are hugely valuable. Now, they can include various tourism products or elements to create one sort of seamless travel package for a visitor. So a travel package might include return airfares. It could be airport transfers, accommodation, tours, experiences. It could even be meals. And generally it's at a special price, so a package price. Travel packages can be tailored to fit certain traveller styles. So a package generally combines 2 or more products so that the customer or that specific market segment being targeted can gain an advantage compared with buying the items separately. So core holiday components, like I mentioned, your transport, accommodation, meals, etc., carefully combined into a complete package experience. Now, packages generally provide the customer with either a greater convenience, as in they can just pick it off the shelf and they don't have to think about it, or a more competitive price, and sometimes both. Now, there has been some traditional objections to packaging, like there is a perception that it's only useful to inexperienced travellers who don't have the confidence to kind of make their own itinerary, or larger groups, or even older holiday makers. But those perceptions are really changing, and packages are becoming as important as ever. So because more packages can be more flexible now, they can represent good value for money. They can be really attractive to a range of different markets, particularly the FIT market, which is the free independent traveller. So more flexible packages obviously meet the needs of FIT, but other benefits are that packaging really enhances your regional appeal. So in regional areas, a package that features complementary products that are a well-targeted mix of experiences can really enhance that appeal, often a lot more than selling your product individually, because it gives people many reasons to come to your destination. Obviously, I mentioned convenience, so packages reduce that time and money that people spend looking for key product and booking information on a destination. It's there for them. There's the perception that a package will result in savings and reduce the cost of products and services, so they're better value for money. But also the ease of payment and planning. The travel arrangements are generally prepaid by the consumer and confirmed prior to the travel, and then handled by individuals once they get there. They're generally low stress as well, and relieve, any anxiety that might come with, particularly for older travellers, trying to put it all together themselves. Now, normally we would use a wholesaler or someone to act as the agent or the middleman when it comes to a package. So you might be asked to package products or offer a discount in order to achieve a result for a consumer that a wholesaler is putting together. So keep that in mind. It's very difficult for individual tourism products. It can be quite difficult for us to try and package ourselves, because someone has to be that central booking office. Someone has to advertise in market, and it's really wholesalers, ITOs, and agents that have the ability to do that. So you might have a great product package idea, and you might have been speaking to some nearby tourism product, whether they're accommodation, tours, experiences, etc. You might then go to a particular wholesaler that works in the region and say, all right, guys, a few of us have, we know that people like to book this, this, and this. Can we package this, and will you get it out to market? Obviously, you'll then have to pay a commission to that wholesaler to act as the agent or the middleman, but it becomes it comes down to a basis of they're doing the marketing, and I'll talk more about wholesalers soon, and they're getting out to their audience. So domestic packaging is generally less expensive to compile than international packaging because it requires fewer distributors. It's generally faster results. Obviously, at the moment, we've only got a domestic market. So if you are looking at packaging, domestic is kind of the immediate or potential quick win, depending on what borders are doing, of course. So keep that in mind. And then obviously international packaging is more long-term. Getting into those international programs does take time and effort. And like I said, I'll expand on that shortly. So modern packages that are really flexible, good value for money, will appeal to groups that want, a full guided sort of itinerary, as well as independent travelers. So keep that in mind as well. There's a few different styles of travelers that packaging will appeal to. So cooperative packaging is where you're working with other operators to create an attractive package. So your product's appeal may be enhanced, and then obviously promotional costs are reduced by presenting a range of products from your area to markets that have related interests, and then sharing promotional costs with other tourism industry operators. Also offering a selection of components within your region that provide customers with flexibility to create that personalised itinerary with the price advantages of a package. So you might say, if you purchase for X amount, it includes all these components, but then they can go off and book those components as and when it suits them. So it's more flexible sort of packaging. You could then also approach a wholesaler and agent to sell it on your behalf, or you can take bookings. Now, I've got a couple of examples of cooperative packaging. Skydive Geronimo have an example of this, and on the left-hand side of the screen here, you can see that they put together a range of packages. So they've got just Skydive only, so this is over on Rottnest Island. They've got Skydive only, then they've got Skydive and ferry packages. They've got Skydive flight transfer packages as well. So those kind of packages, it's making it easy for the customer. So they might be the key attraction to get people over to Rottnest Island, but they know people are going to have to get there somehow. So they've made it nice and easy for the customer. On their website, the customers can, and on the right-hand side, you'll see more information on the actual packaging where it says that it talks up the ferry side of things. Thanks to, and they work with a range of different ferry companies. You can travel to the island quickly and at a great price. So they've looked at a discounted price based on putting both skydiving and ferry together. So the Skydive and ferry packages, it says it's the best choice. You're looking for a flexible itinerary, convenient departure options, and plenty of availability. So they're offering complete flexibility there, but they're packaging it up and selling it to one target group for ease of booking. And it obviously enhances their product, because it means the consumer doesn't have to go. So let's say I've decided I want to skydive on Rottnest. I don't then have to go and try and navigate the world of ferries and timetables and schedules myself. The Skydive company are going to do it for me. So I think that's a really great example of cooperative packaging that is bookable through the operator. You then see that Rottnest Express, as an example, sell this on their website too. So again, it's consistency in the marketplace. You've got two different avenues for purchasing this. You can do it through the Skydive company. Now, the Skydive company would sell it to consumers direct and no doubt get a commission on the ferry, and then likewise the ferry company can book it to the consumer direct and also get a commission on the Skydive. So it's in the benefits of, or the best interests, I should say, of both operators to be selling that package, because they do get something for selling it. You can see that the communication is very similar. Obviously the message going out to market isn't confusing. I don't have the example of the prices on the screen, but you can see that there's that consistency in what's being offered as well. So keep that in mind. That is a really great example of how you can effectively work with other tourism operators in that cooperative sort of packaging. Now, I did mention that a lot of the time you'll need to go through to a wholesaler or an agent. Wholesalers are a hugely important channel in the travel distribution system. So having an affiliation with a wholesaler provides you as a small business a range of benefits, including exposure to a much larger market, and assistance with marketing your product or service, and obviously packaging, being that middleman that does package the product or service and then takes it to market. So working with a wholesaler, obviously your promotional costs are reduced by you focus your marketing efforts, or the wholesaler focuses their marketing efforts, and you simply provide the product. They can then put together flights plus accommodation plus your individual product or service and on-sell that to either the individual traveller directly or if they are a wholesaler or an inbound tour operator, they might be on selling it to other agents. So think about your commission as a marketing spend. So your commissions are higher, obviously, if you're working with a wholesaler, higher than they would be if you're working with an agent direct or the consumer direct, but your commissions are essentially marketing spend. So where you're not spending money on advertising, you're paying commissions. The best part about that is that you're only paying commissions when you get an actual booking. So it's not advertising spend where you're putting an ad in place and hoping that you get a booking from it. So it's a pretty guaranteed thing, but you get the packaging benefits of making more of a destinational appeal to the consumer, whereas the wholesalers do the work, coordinate the bookings, and you just become a part of that process. So I've got some examples of wholesaler packages here. Now, the top example is What If. Now, there's great value to the customer there. So they've packaged up a Margaret River stay, so accommodation with a free one-day car hire if you book the two together. So that's a great incentive. Now, the second package that you see there below is Qantas. Now, this is purely just ease of booking. So they're putting together your accommodation plus a 7-night stay and giving it to you as a total price. So from a consumer perspective, I know I want to go, I know I need flights, simply plug in the details and I'm booking and paying with one outlet as opposed to go and piecing together the itinerary myself. So in some instances, you'll be well aware that you're part of a package because a wholesaler might come to you and ask for a value add or a special price if they're advertising it or have a specific tactical advertising campaign, whereas other times they'll literally just put the two components together and advertise them like they do here. So some great examples there. Now, in terms of their reach, think about the reach of a site like What If or Qantas and the size of the market that they're going to. And then consider within your business, can you actually compete with that if you were to not want to pay commissions and wanting to go to market directly? So in my opinion, it makes perfect sense to work with wholesalers and inbound tour operators that then package your product and really promote the destination as a whole. Now, during the package design process, I would be speaking with industry members who have proven packaging experience, but considering a few of the essentials. First of all, timing. If your business is seasonal or experiences peak periods, make sure that you allow for that when you determine your package availability. So the most popular holiday periods of your target market should be noted, and you should design your package around that timing. Pricing is really important. Your pricing, particularly when you're working with trade or advertising any kind of package, your prices should be fixed for at least a 12-month period. Now, in the tourism industry, we work from April of one year to March of the next. So that's the tourism calendar year. So 1st of April 2022 to 31st of March 2023 is the next contracting period. So make sure that your costs are included in that pricing and factored in that particular time period. So you will need to set it 12 to 18 months in advance. In your pricing, make sure that you've factored in your product development if you are developing new products, any entry or guide fees, meals, obviously maintenance, marketing costs. If you're putting together a package in cooperation with other operators or on behalf of a number of operators, make sure that there is a profit margin for all factored in, particularly if you are pitching that market to consumers direct. You'll have to make sure that, like we said in that Rottnest Express and Skydive Geronimo example, that there is commissions in there. And there might need to be an allowance for unexpected costs. Make sure that you understand your break-even points with the package as well, and make sure that all operators agree to the promotion to sell the package. Now, if you are looking at creating a package and trimming the price on it, make sure that you're not going to compromise quality by having to reduce the price. Maybe look at enhancing packages by appealing to the markets with a value add. So making it an interesting package by adding perhaps a bottle of wine, a particular service, or a souvenir that doesn't actually cost you as much to incorporate in the package. Now, commission, we've discussed commission. If you're using retail travel agents, wholesalers, or inbound tour operators, to distribute your product or your package, you obviously have to pay a commission. Now, those commissions do vary between 10 and up to 30%, allow for the rates in the overall price, and then consider how the commissions will be split between each operator as well, and make sure that each operator is offering the same commissions. In terms of packaging your product, you do need quite a long lead time in terms of getting those financial returns. So you make sure that your development expectations are realistic. Your actual bookings can take quite a bit of time to evaluate depending on the product and your package, but maybe think about your distribution channels here. In terms of working with trade, we look at an 18-month to 2-year sort of time frame. So the development tends to be a bit longer, or the return on your development tends to be a bit longer. So make sure that that is considered as well. Now, in terms of legal implications, wholesalers and retail agents have conditions of sale, and they may be relevant to specific products within a package. So make sure that if you are advertising a package directly, or if you're working with wholesalers, that those conditions are really clear. So those legal conditions, so that you don't get customer complaints, and that you're making sure that everything is legal and above board. Then in terms of your package promotion, obviously presenting a package in a great brochure could give you sales opportunities. If you are being brochured by wholesalers, there could be some, even greater distribution opportunities if you brochure that package, or you might have your individual products that are being brochured by wholesalers. So also think about promoting the package through wholesalers by way of FMILs, working with Tourism WA, working with Australia's Southwest Tourism, and their trade and media FMIL program. And now that could incorporate retail travel agents, wholesalers, it could be, like I said, media. If they're able to experience your product or service, it'll really increase their product awareness. It'll greatly motivate them to sell your product as well. Obviously, once you've established a relationship, you've developed a product or a package that they're going to sell, maintaining that regular contact with distributors will really build their confidence in your product and develop that close business relationship. So keep them informed of updates through that regular email communication or phone even, and make sure that they're aware of what's going on. But FMILs is a great way to do that. Also make sure that you're educating Australia's Southwest Tourism and also Tourism WA, so they're aware of what you're doing, particularly if you're doing something with other operators in a region. There could be some media opportunities that arise as a result of packaging that you've developed. Now, in terms of bundling, now this is more about providing complementary products to like-minded travellers. So rather than dictating an experience that a visitor will have, this is more focused on making them aware of what your business and your entire region has to offer. It really assists in making a visit to your area more appealing, and that's what we want to do. We want to enhance that perceived value or that perception of the region and the overall experience. So this could be as simple as having links to other organisations' websites on your website. It could involve joining forces with other businesses in your region to create a more substantial marketing activity and promotions, like we've talked about with packaging. But most importantly, effective bundling, and the key to effective bundling is to cross-promote like-minded experiences or businesses in your region that enhance that overall experience that consumers are going to have when they get to your region. So working together to develop these attractive deals that encourage visitors to the region hugely benefits not only each individual operator, but the region. It gets you greater visitor numbers, increased expenditure because lengths of stay will increase and that kind of thing. So bundling is also a great way to maximize yield. So if you've got, let's say you're a hotel, if you've got, and I'll show you an example of this shortly, but if you've got a web page that's dedicated to experiences in the region and combining those with your hotel, it will really encourage people to extend their length of stay because they become aware of what else they can do. So if tourism operators are attempting to drive consumer appeal exclusively through their individual offering, you're less likely to attract as many tourists as you might by working with other operators. So presenting the other information that is relevant to your region really gives you a more diverse and compelling offering. So benefits, which I've gone through quite of these, but obviously you can more clearly tailor your marketing message to the experience seeker by highlighting the most appealing activities and experiences. You can tailor your products more closely to the needs of the visitors and align yourself with products that complement what you offer. You can improve your own profile and visibility of your business. It can also really help you to leverage Tourism Australia, Tourism WA, and Australia's Southwest activities to grow visitor numbers, increase that length of stay, like I mentioned, and obviously increase spend as well. Another benefit to bundling is keeping your product fresh and keeping people interested and generating word of mouth. So those bundles can really generate positive word of mouth. So a great example of that, you can see here, this is actually Abbey Beach Resort's website. They've partnered with a few companies, but the snapshot that I've got on here is Naturalist Charters. So you can see on the right-hand side, they've got, obviously in the middle, you can see there's a wine package. So that would be partnering with a local winery, but the whale watching one is great. So that was a really flexible package that they offer on their website. You basically book your accommodation and you get like a voucher for the whale watching, and then you can book it in at any time throughout your stay. There's lots of conditions on that, like in terms of weather. So they've covered the legal aspects. They've actually got several different packages on their website, and you can see they've got an entire web page dedicated to that. If you have a look on just up the top here, you can see the URL is packages. So they've actually dedicated a page to really putting together their accommodation with really interesting and exciting things in the region. So a fantastic offer there. These particular packages that they've got online, it's more of a bundle because it's not a preset sort of itinerary. They may offer this through wholesalers, but I haven't seen that for myself. I've only seen it online, and it's very simple and easy to book. So that's a really good example in your region of how bundling and packaging can work. Now, in terms of when you're bundling or packaging, but I know we've sort of gone over this a little bit, but first of all, if you're developing packages or bundles, your target, so who you want to target is absolutely crucial. Obviously, then you need to determine what inclusions you're going to offer based on your customer profiles, what package inclusions would appeal to them and at what price. So it could be a romantic package for an accommodation provider that includes dinner at an exclusive restaurant, or even just a picnic basket on arrival, or the naturalist charter with accommodation example that you saw. So those time elements, are really important. Be careful not to over package. So people still have flexibility to just go and explore themselves. Don't jam pack their itinerary. Make suggestions of what they can do in the region, but make sure that you don't over package and consider those time elements. Partnerships are really important. What specific product partners you need and what agreements do you need to put in place. Make sure that they're mutually agreed and confirmed by, a detailed or even an official sort of agreement. Agree on the terms of operation. So work out all the logistics with your product partners and make sure that they are factored into the agreement. So, for example, what period will the product be available? How will you price your product to make sure that you allow for distribution chains and their commissions? How will bookings be handled? What booking lead times does each component need? Do you have to create a specific tour code? So in your system, you can identify and report on that particular package. And then obviously make sure all reservations and operations staff are cross-trained on each product in that sense, so that when they do get the inquiries, they know how to sell it. So that product information is really important. Branding, if you are going to market yourself, thinking creatively when you name your bundled product and making sure that appeals to your target market is really important. And then your promotions, so thinking about with your product partners, agree on different marketing elements and what promotional mediums you might use, what sort of promotional copy or PR activities will you do, and make sure that that is understood by all partners. And then developing a communication strategy to consumers and also to trade partners on what sort of sales activity you'll do, what the marketing budget might be if you're going to market it directly, and then you can jointly review your return on investment and the return on investment for all partners involved. And those details might like to be included in the actual agreement as well. The main administrative considerations are how customers book. or agents. So if you're working with an agent, do they just book all components separately? If you're working with customers direct, like in the example we saw on the Abbey Beach Resort page, can they just book it with the hotel, for example, and the hotel then goes and books the specific tour, or do you get the customer to do it themselves? How your records of reservations will be kept, again, for reporting purposes. How do you handle reservations if the package is full, or if a component of the package is full, and what the implications are there. Cancellations, and think about cancellation deadlines, charges, if refunds have to be processed, who does that, and understanding the cancellation policies of everyone involved. Also think about who will receive payments. So is it, in the case of a hotel plus tour, is it the hotel that takes the payment and then the tour company has to invoice the hotel, for example? And then also, once customers get to you, how do they prove that they've purchased a package? So do they get a voucher from you? So there's both development and administrative considerations in terms of packaging and or bundling. Now, whether you're considering packaging or bundling, there's some things that you can do to ensure your success. First of all, be proactive. Have a look at how you can actually create a package within your own business that is both people and market orientated, understanding who your people are and what markets you're targeting. Be careful that you don't discount to a point where you sacrifice profits or the quality of the service. And I did touch on that earlier. Make sure your price is clear and that all elements include commission, so that if you're working with trade, obviously the whole package is commissionable. Create a package with components that can really be readily mixed and matched to appeal to different identified markets as well. So you might have to think about operational and administrative considerations in that sense, but the more flexible you can make a package, the more appeal it's going to have. In terms of packaging, make sure that you do plan them well in advance and allow a lot of promotional and booking time, and make sure that they're available for a long period of time so that you can let them get into market. You can see the results over time as well. And that sort of ties into that next point of expecting gradual financial returns. It's not going to sell out the following day after it's released. It is going to take time to build up with that awareness, both in market and to consumers direct. So make sure that you've got that expectation of gradual financial returns. Training of staff, I've also touched on, but that's absolutely crucial. Make sure that they're informed and obviously enthusiastic about the package and understand and have good product knowledge on each component of a package. Like I said, that flexibility is crucial, and make sure that you do deliver on your promise as well. If you've created a package, make sure that you can actually deliver on it at all times of year, or at the times of year that the package is available. So that concludes the webinar today on product development and packaging. I will stay on now for questions. So if you want to ask anything, please use either the chat or the Q&A functionality. And yeah, if you want to make it relevant to a particular package, to a product, or to your business, we can also take it offline. Now, as I mentioned, and thank you to Australia Southwest for having us online today and to be able to present to you guys as members. Now, this program, the ASBAS program, is coming to an end as of tomorrow because you've registered prior to the end of financial year. You can actually make appointments with me from a one-on-one perspective anytime throughout the month of July. And then as of 1st of August, the program, it's a federal government program. It will be re-released in a different form. So we're not entirely sure what that will look like. So I would really encourage you, if you do want to make a booking, do that in the month of July whilst you still can. But like I said, I'm staying online now to answer any questions. So please shoot them through. Thanks again for your time. I hope everyone is well and getting through this latest lockdown in the Southwest. Obviously, you don't have the same sort of scenario that we have out here, but I hope everyone is not too heavily impacted. So thanks again. Shoot through any questions and we'll chat again soon.